Hi, I'm Shannon Dow with Healthcare Genius, and I'm here with Tom Stack, who I'm going to interview today. For the best videos on healthcare and retirement, please subscribe to our channel and make sure you click the bell to be notified when we come out with new videos. So, Tom, we're here today to talk about Medicare and how that's affected you. So, the first question I have for you is, what was your experience like when you went from the health insurance that you'd always been on to Medicare?
After navigating Medicare and how to apply and all of the technical issues that go along with that, I basically felt like it was a major punch in the gut when I finally understood how much I would be paying a month to the government for my Medicare health plan.
Yes, and the punch in the gut is something that you'll hear us say quite often, and that actually comes from Tom's experience specifically. So can you break down for us kind of what those costs looked like and why it felt like a punch in the gut?
Yes, well, basically, as you know, as you are moving into retirement, you're looking at a number of issues. One is your health care, which is Medicare, which is what you're counting on because that's a system that takes care of us in our old age. And then you're also looking at Social Security, this notion that you're going to be given back a certain amount of money that you've contributed to your Social Security plan over time. So essentially, it seemed pretty easy. That's, in order to learn anything about it, you have to basically do your own research. You don't have a bunch of advisors running around telling you, hey, you need to do this while you're considering retirement, or you need to understand tax implications in retirement as it relates to Medicare or Social Security. Basically, I don't really think you think about those things. At least I didn't, because your focus is typically on cash accumulation for retirement. And then, of course, what is my cash flow going to look like based on my investments and my Social Security payments. So when I finally got the numbers and looked at it, I said, oh my gosh, I think I've planned pretty poorly for this retirement event that's going to occur for me when I'm 67 or 68. And by that I mean, first of all, there's a process of means testing, as most people aren't familiar with. Means testing means basically that every year that you're retired, Social Security looks at your last W-2, and based on the amount of money you make, you're basically given a certain cost for your Medicare program. So the more money you make, the higher your Medicare premiums are going to be. And let's make it very clear that Medicare is paid by the individual, and it's not a lot different than paying a private insurer as you go through the process. However, because of the numbers and some of the other things, it's generally felt that it's going to be a lot less expensive in retirement. I'm not finding that to be the case because Medicare has a number of components. You've got your standard Medicare program, parts A and B, which is based on your means testing. Then you've got your supplemental components, and we'll just say F, which is to cover a lot of the expenses that normal Medicare A and B doesn't cover, which is an additional payment that you make. And then you've got your D, which is for your prescriptions. So you've got a lot of payments. So prior to going on Medicare, I was paying about $500 a month for my insurance, which was, a reasonable deductible, plus full coverage, great network, all of those types of things. I get the network benefits from Medicare, but the punch in the gut comes in the fact that I'm now paying about $200 more a month out of pocket for Medicare than I was for insurance.
Sure.
When I was paying my insurance, by the way, too, since I'm an independent business person, I could deduct a lot of those expenses. I can't deduct any of those expenses from my Medicare costs. So in essence, if you look at basic tax and cost, I'm paying about $1,100 pre-tax for Medicare, and that's being directly deducted. Well, I'm paying it now because I'm not taking Social Security yet, but when I start taking Social Security, that'll be directly deducted from my Social Security payments after tax.
Yeah, and the taxes is one thing that a lot of people don't really realize. So not only are you looking at maybe a $200+ difference when you go from your insurance at 64 to your insurance at 65, but then when you take the tax into consideration, it's maybe $400 or $500 additionally that you're paying out of pocket per month.
Yeah, it takes the air out of you. That's why you say punch in the gut, because you made certain assumptions about retirement. other people probably don't understand as well that, so you've made this cash accumulation as being one of your major items towards retirement, towards maintaining a cash flow or maintaining the right amount of cash to support yourself in retirement. That's all basically taxable income. So if you're taking your earnings out of all of your investments, those go towards your means testing. So it raises your means, your earnings to the point where your means testing goes up. So you're still going to be paying higher for Medicare than if you were on a standard plan, essentially, or a private plan, I guess you might say. So there's a lot of surprises. And the other thing is that none of this really addresses the major issue that we're facing as we're growing older here in the United States these days, is the long-term care issues. Mm-hmm. More and more people are living longer. More and more people are suffering from diseases that we didn't see a lot of, impairment diseases, many different other types of things that maybe modern life is causing, or the fact that we're living a lot longer is causing. But the cost for long-term care, as we're all hearing, and some of us know firsthand by virtue of having parents who need long-term care, is phenomenal. And there's nothing in Medicare and there's nothing in Social Security that pays for that.
Yeah.
You have to plan for that. So all this time you're focusing on cash accumulation, but you're not focusing on some of the right things for today's our lives today, which is, what is it going to cost me to have long-term care, reasonable long-term care if needed? Mm-hmm. And that I'm totally unprepared for. So
yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that we see from a lot of people when they get to retirement age. They wish they had planned better. And two huge things to be focused on that you've mentioned are both Medicare means testing, punch in the gut tax from Social Security, how that's going to affect you, how you can plan for it. And then long-term care is the other piece, because we talk about how expensive Medicare is compared to how much you thought you'd be paying for it. And after all that, it still doesn't cover long-term care. So I think those are two really big components that, do you feel like, had you known 15 years ago what you'd be looking at, that you'd be in a different position right now?
Well, yeah, I think that's armchair quarterbacking in that sense. But even then, today, if you talk to your average advisor, and I won't name any names, they don't want anything to do with talking about the long-term care program. What am I going to do? They are still really focused on the cash accumulation part. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think that the focus should be, and the knowledge that we need is, what do we do to plan for long-term care? How do we do that? How do we do that in the context of, what we've done with our money up till now and moving forward? And how do you marry that with your planning for your retirement? So yeah, and few companies are doing that. I know that you guys are looking significantly at that. That's one of your major focuses, is providing the knowledge of what you need to do to prepare yourself for that event after retirement, especially in long-term care, but at the same time maximizing your cash and so on. So, mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much, Tom. Thank you for the insight. If you have an advisor, please make sure you're talking to them about both Medicare means testing, the punch in the gut tax from Social Security, and about long-term care. If they're not able to help you for whatever reason, do your research, give us a call. If you'd like to become a client of ours, please feel free to check out the link in our description below, and check out our other videos. We've got lots of stuff on long-term care, on Medicare means testing. So thanks again, Tom. Once again, Shannon Dow here with Healthcare Genius. For the best information on healthcare and retirement, please subscribe to our channel, click the bell to be notified when we come out with new videos, and like our videos.